Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My voice is finally back. When we got back from California, I got really sick for a few days, and my voice just completely disappeared. So today is the first day in I don't know how long where I really have nothing that's planned whatsoever. So I decided to just have some me time today. And I've decided to knock 3 birds out of the sky with 1 stone. I know it's not the saying. That's not my saying. I've been wanting for a long time to go through and show you a lot of the comic book shops in Tucson. Now, this is not like a tour or anything like that. I'm going to go and hit up as many comic book shops as I can today for one mission. I have decided to finally complete my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mirage Comics run, 1 through 62. Now, luckily, I actually have acquired a majority of the books. I'm actually only missing 4 books now. These books right here. There's an asterisk here. I have 2 books that are on their way. I bought them from a dealer that I know, and they're being shipped to me. But that leaves 4 books to find. And I'm going to go around today. Are my hopes really high that I'm going to find these books? Well, no. Because if I would have found them in Tucson already, I probably would have found them. But we're going to go and have fun, and I'm going to show you the different shops in Tucson from the outside. And if I see something, I don't know, we'll see. The other thing is, I decided to pull out an oldie but a goodie. I decided, instead of using my DJI mics that my camera came with and that I purchased separately, I'm going old school again. I'm using my old Rode mics here, my Rode Wireless Go 2s, which I'm a very big fan of. I just never use them because of the simplicity and ease that the DJI mics came with, being Bluetooth connected. This one does require me to have the transmitter, and these ones need to be charged all the way still. But I remember liking these microphone sounds a lot better, so I decided, what the heck, I'm going to try them out today for a little while. And maybe I'll stop and get some pizza at a local place today. I don't know. Let's see what the day takes us. But first, we're going to drive to the east side of Tucson, start our way there, and make our way back to over here and towards Marana. As for now, let's make our way to our first stop, which actually opens in about 20 minutes, which is about perfect timing from where we're leaving the house. The first downside of using these mics, though, instead of my DJI ones, I can't just hit the button on here to stop and start recording. So I actually do have to hit the button on the camera. So that's one con. But I can't wait to see how the audio sounds, as I think that's going to be a pro. And here I'm at my first stop, Space Monkeys Comics. It's over here at 22nd and Kolb area. I'm going to go in and check here. I haven't been here since they first opened, and it was a smaller shop. Since then, I know they've expanded, so I can't wait to go see. Now, I'm not going to show everybody the inside of the shops right now. I'm just going to let you know what happens once I go in there and do what I'm here to do. The first thing I noticed about Space Monkeys when I walked in is that it definitely has expanded. Last time I was there, it was a smaller store. And the other thing I noticed was they have a giant array of back issues to look through. Now, sadly, they didn't have any of the vintage Turtles books I was looking for. In fact, he told me whenever he gets them in, they're immediately gone. They did have a cool graphic novel I was thinking about that was already signed by Kevin, but it wasn't one that was ever on my radar. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't really feel like vesting the $50 into it, which I still think was a fair deal for the fact that it was signed by Kevin. I do love the fact they have so many back issues, but their wall books, they had some decent wall books if you're a modern collector, which I am not. There was one book that kind of looked cool. It was a True Believers version of Avengers #4 signed by Stan Lee, but they were asking $1,500. I do believe they were possibly on consignment. But all in all, this is a fantastic spot and option if you're on the east side here. So it had a little bit of everything, and I do like the fact they had a nice little mix between just pop culture paraphernalia and being an old school style comic book shop. Really cool, Space Monkeys. Now, on to the next store. Well, that was a short-lived experiment. My Rode mics decided to disconnect and not stay paired. I don't know what happened, and I don't have time to fix it right now. So the audio's changed a little bit. But I am anxious to see how the audio sounded differently on there. Right now, our next stop is going to be Showtime Cards. It's mostly known for being a sports memorabilia and sports card shop, but they have branched out into the world of comic books. So let's see if we have a different experience there, and maybe they might have those books. Who knows? And they probably don't, but we'll check anyway. I forgot about all the craziness here on the east side. I've already seen one road rage incident and just how crowded it is compared to our side of town. But I'm not gonna lie, I still kind of miss it a little bit. Okay, we're back to the Rode mics now. I was able to get them repaired. It was really simple, I just couldn't do it, obviously. I was in the car. So we're now at Showtime Cards. I haven't been here in a while either, but I used to come here because it's one of the last remaining like true sports cards and sports collectibles places here in town for the longest time. Now there's a couple. But I haven't been here since they've actually expanded to really include comic books. I used to know the person that would help oversee the comic book stuff here, and I know that they probably deal in more modern stuff just like the previous shop. So we're going to go in and find out here in a second. Again, I'm not going to really film in there. I might take some clips like I did in the last one with my phone, But I'm not here to do like a review or anything. I'm here just to share my experience with trying to locate these comics. I still got 2 minutes before they open, so right now, I'm just chilling. Although I'm probably going to look at some sports stuff while I'm in there too, because it's been a while since I've actually went looking for sports paraphernalia and things. And it's kind of cool. I'm kind of reinvigorated with my collecting hobby at the moment, even though I just got rid of a bunch of stuff. I don't know, I guess it's the addiction that we as collectors all have to deal with. We can never have too many cool things. I'll just cut to the chase here with Showtime cards. They're getting out of the comic book game. He told me that as soon as I walked in. So there was no Ninja Turtles books for me to really find. Well, no vintage Ninja Turtle books. They had some newer ones there on display. But they told me that they've actually sold a majority of their comics and backstock to another shop here in town. A little surprised when they told me which shop. But yeah, this one, if you're looking for comic books, it's definitely a skip. But I will give credit where credit's due. They actually had a ton of the comic book like bags, boards, and they actually had 11x17 art boards and bags too, which I don't really see those too often around Arizona. So if you're looking for those, maybe you do want to stop by here. And their sports card stuff was mostly newer. They had a few vintage things, but I'm definitely on the lookout for vintage and older stuff. Like sports card wise, if they had a Barry Sanders Topps rookie, I probably would have went for it. That's the only Barry Sanders rookie I don't have, which is probably his most famous and more valuable one. All right, on to the next shop. Or maybe I want to get lunch first. I don't know. Let's decide. Since Transplant closed on our side of town, I might as well indulge while I'm out here. I've been really craving a good Detroit-style slice. And another side note, on the road mics, I do remember why I like using the DJI, even though I don't think they sound as good. They're a lot easier as far as having it all set up. There's lots of cables and stuff I gotta run. But right now we're gonna have a slice and talk about what we're hoping to get out of the rest of the day. You know, I've made no secret since we started doing this today. I didn't really plan on actually finding these books, but it gave me an excuse to finally go and visit all the shops in town. And we don't have that many here in Tucson to begin with. And I think I may have overestimated my time allotment today, because I do have to be somewhere at the end of a couple hours. And there's still 4 shops I wanted to hit. I wanted to hit Heroes and Villains, which should be my next stop. I was going to try and stop by the Collector's Territory on 4th Avenue, which I actually have not had a chance to make it out there yet. Obviously fantasy comics, and we go to Presidio all the time. I'm probably going to throw some footage in there for Presidio, because we're there quite a bit and you've seen it quite a bit. I already know they don't have the particular books I'm looking for, because I was actually just stopped by there yesterday. That's really the only comic book shops in town at that point. So we really got 4 left, and we've already hit 2. So there's really 6 when you think about it from beginning to end. I don't even know if you can really count Showtime cards as a comic book shop anymore, because, well, by their own accord, they don't do comics anymore, really. Always a fantastic choice. If you're in Tucson near like the Rosemont Speedway area, stop by Transplant. It's worth every bite. Oh, that was so good. Now, next comic book shop. The next stop on our list is going to be Heroes and Villains. Heroes and Villains is always going to hold a special place in my heart. They were actually the first shop in Tucson ever to carry a book that I wrote. But that was also, well, I feel like a long time ago. However, like previous shops, I really don't anticipate them having the books I'm looking for. Again, they mostly deal in newer, modern books. However, every now and then they get something really cool inside of their trophy case. In fact, everybody has their regrets. Why didn't I buy that when I saw it? And that one for me is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 second print that they had at Heroes and Villains about 15 years ago. I know, as I still have the picture on my phone. If I can find it, I believe it's right here. And it was a second print #1. They were asking oh my God, I cannot afford that price of $80. Yeah, one of my biggest regrets. Actually, it's my second biggest regret. My biggest regret, I have no tactile proof for it, but it was Amazing Fantasy 15 and a 4.0 for $3,000. But I was a broke college kid, and the guy did not take credit card, so I had to pass. This was at my first Phoenix Comic-Con well over a decade ago. You live, you learn. But let's have Heroes and Villains, and we'll go from there. Heroes and Villains is not just comic books. It's very similar to what we were talking about over there with like Showtime cards, where they specialize in vinyl music, video games, tabletop gaming, and comic books. But to start off life right over here as a comic book shop. All right, I'm gonna head in and see if they have what we're looking for, and I'll be right back. Walking into Heroes and Villains, it hasn't really changed a whole lot in the last few years. Yeah, they've expanded over here to the records and the gaming side, but the comic side looks relatively the same. The only thing, it has a lot less of like local books and, again, classic books, although I did run into a couple of gyms. They had some early Captain America books that I would absolutely love to have, just not at those prices, and not today. All in all, it's very similar to Space Monkeys, where it's a lot of modern books with some pop culture stuff, but definitely not the classic books I'm looking for. Over the years, I've had different relationships with different shops here in towns. Like I said, this used to be like my home store. I loved that I would come in. I would even have to go around looking at books. There was a few people that worked here that just knew all of us. As soon as you walked in, they'd be like, oh my God, Tommy, I saw this new release come out that you would absolutely love. You have to check it out. I already threw it in your box. And you'd pick it up and you'd be like, oh my God, they were right. And it was kind of like our version of Cheers. You'd walk in and everybody would know your name. But that was also well over 10 years ago, and that original staff no longer works there. And I went a while without coming back to the shop. And now they're all new faces. Nothing against it, just time moves on. As well as like the demographic and what people are looking for. Me, I'm a classics, more slab or higher end or rare book collector now, not so much the current modern stuff, which that's what this store is perfect for, like Space Monkeys. If you something like you want there, by all means, great shops. And for years now, since I started the channel 3 years ago, people would ask me to do a comprehensive review of my favorite comic book shops in town and rank them. I will never rank the comic book shops here in town because they are all great and they all offer different things for different people. Now, do I have the best relationship with every shop here in town? And by that I mean, it's not like, there's some shops I'm not going to call up the owner and be like, hey, you want to grab dinner or anything like that. And there's other shops where the owners are some of my best friends. I'm never going to rank the shops. I'm just going to show you the ones you have the opportunity to go and explore yourself. With that being said, there's only a couple more stores we want to hit today. Right now I'm heading over to the Collector's Territory, a shop I have actually never been to in town. They used to be two separate shops that have since come into one. One was mostly toys, the other one was mostly comics. So I'm heading down there now. It's on 4th Avenue. I'm going to add an asterisk here. The reason I've never been to this shop before is the parking on 4th Avenue is absolutely atrocious. So between you, me, and the internets, if I can't find an active parking space close by, because I do have to be somewhere in about an hour, I'm not going to be able to stop by, unfortunately. But we're going to try. If I was a betting man, I would say this is probably my best shot at finding those Turtles books, because I know that Tony here does a lot of back issues. I also forgot there's also Our Galaxy, which also does back issues, but I've already looked there too for these. So now it's just a matter of going there and checking it out for the first time. So they were completely out of the Turtles books that I was looking for. They sold most of them at Tucson Comic Con where Kevin Eastman was there, so no surprise. But I did pick up this. It's Nextmen number 14. Another book or character I've collected. I like collecting early appearances of Hellboy. And I have Nextmen 21, his first full color appearance. I have San Diego Comic Con number 2, which is his first appearance in American comics. And I have Hellboy Seed of Destruction number 1, his first solo title. I never had this one. This was his first appearance in Cameo. Very similar to Incredible Hulk number 180 versus 181. So hey, not a bad price. They gave me a little bit of a deal. And I realized too, we forgot one other shop too. There's also Our Galaxy. So there's Our Galaxy, Fantasy, and Presidio left. Sadly, we are getting close to running out of time. So I'm going to try and hurry up and get to these last shops. But we are in a pinch right now. Here we are at Our Galaxy. Now, I'm pretty sure they already don't have it, but this is where I found a lot of my Turtles books in the past. The reason I know they don't have it, I just talked to Will about a week ago. I let him know what I was looking for, and he said he was pretty sure they didn't have them here. But I'm in the neighborhood, so why not stop and check and at least say hello. So I was right. They did not have them in stock, unfortunately, and they didn't have the other stuff I was looking for either. But it was nice to catch up with Will. We actually had to have a little bit of a conversation, and well, my voice is going out again. So now it's time to do a couple more stops and then head to go pick up Henry. And our second to last stop brings us here to Fantasy Comics. This is my other home store, essentially. I love it because it's Tucson's oldest traditional old school comic book shop. Everything from the store, the team, everyone that works here, everything. It's just a good old-fashioned comic book shop, and it's one of my favorites out there. I've been to comic book shops around the country. Here in Presidio always make me feel like I'm home. And we're talking about stores that have always supported us when we started making and producing our own comic books. I've done 2 signings and several appearances here at Fantasy, and to this day, they still have our books on display. So I'm a huge Fantasy fan, and I'm going to go and start now and see if they have these books. Again, pretty confident they don't, but it never hurts to check. So like I predicted, no, they did not have the Turtles books here I needed, but Matt says they might have them somewhere, or he's going to keep an eye out for them too. So I'm going to send him my list, and he's going to look for me, because he just checked his back room to make sure he didn't have them. But what he did have was a couple more books that I did pick up. I picked this up for my nephew who's really into Naruto, and of course I love the Ninja Turtles, so why don't we find something we can try and bond over. And I'm always a sucker for Turtles number 1s, and they had Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1, which I think I might have that waiting for me at Presidio too, so hey, I'll have 2 copies. And a book that I was trying to find and pick up at the Tucson, or at the TCAT, and I picked up Spawn number 7 instead, but I needed this one, Spawn number 6. They did have it, so I picked that up today. And once again, I love Fantasy because it's an old school comic book shop. More importantly, he's always supported us local people, and I appreciate it. Heck, when I was in there, he still has a bunch of my titles in there for sale. Of course, I just realized they're still in there for sale. They haven't sold. Ah, well. It happens. Until next time, Galactus. And the last shop in Tucson to visit is Presidio Comics. But we're there all the time, and you guys have seen that. In fact, I was just there yesterday, and I know for a fact they don't have the books I'm looking for. But those are all the major comic book shops in Tucson. So let's run down that list again. We stopped by Space Monkeys on Tucson East Side. Great little comic book shop, especially if you're interested in pop culture and back issues and modern stuff. It's definitely the way to go. Then we snuck over there to Showtime Sports Cards and Comics. And by their own admission, they're no longer really doing comic books per se. So we stopped there. If you're into sports collectibles, they had tons of hobby boxes and stuff for you sports collectors out there like myself. I would definitely check them out for that. And then after that, we had some lunch, and then we wound up going to Heroes and Villains Comics, which, like I said, is always a place that holds a special place in my heart because Heroes and Villains was the first place to ever carry a book that I wrote. So thank you again for that. That's mostly modern books and a few pop culture, and especially if I go to their gaming side and their vinyl side, record and music side. And after we left there, we went over to Our Galaxy, talked to Will for a while. Again, traditional old school comic book shop. They have some toys and stuff there too, but they are mostly a back issue and collectibles dealer in that regard. So if you're looking for back issues and just an old school, like hole in the wall comic book shop, Our Galaxy is the way to go. After that, we swung over here to Fantasy Comics and talked to our buddy Matt, who really looked for those books for us that we're looking for, and I really appreciate it. And Matt is one of the guys from day one who's always supported us locally as well, and they still have our books there. So if you want really cool back issues, you want the modern stuff, you want local artists and creators, Fantasy Comics in Tucson is the way to go. And lastly, we have Presidio Comics, which is pretty much our home store at this point. And one of my best friends in the world, Eric, who owns the shop along with his wife Esperanza, it is just a great all-around pop culture-centric everything shop. From toys to comics, modern, collectibles, slabbed, you name it, they deal in it, and they're always willing to talk to you and negotiate. Guys, those are the comic book shops in Tucson. And I do want to add, there are places besides there where you can buy comics. In fact, Tucson is really well known for having antique malls that have comic books in there as well as Bookman's, which is a secondhand place that buys and trades used books, comics, media, electronics, so on and so forth. But they're not really comic book centric. So you never know what you're going to get when you go in there, or have someone who really wheels and deals on the comic side. But that was our hunting today for Turtles 45, 46, 47, and 58. Didn't find them, but we made good progress in doing so. And the reason I decided to go out and find them here in town is I'm definitely a hunter-gatherer. Half of the fun of collecting comic books is the thrill of the hunt. So anyone can just go online and order the books they're missing at a premium or whatever. But there's nothing that really is the same as finding that comic book out in the wild and having that adrenaline run through your body that you found this book you've been missing and wanting for so long. So, and plus I like to keep my money local if I can. I'm a hometowner here in Tucson, and I want to make sure that those dollars I spend on those comics stay here if I can. But at the very least, we bought some cool comics today, and now we're going to go ahead and pick up the kids and head home. Hey guys, thanks for taking another ride with us. Let's take another ride again soon. Join me for another hunt. Bye-bye, everybody.